Warning, the following content is unscripted and definitely will offend your precious feelings. Viewer discretion is advised. Greetings, one and all, and welcome to Mornings of Mischief. I'm your host, Stone Loki. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to the Mad Doctor of Disaster and Destruction, a Dag Outlaw. Big good morning to Psychodorp 9. Good morning, my friend. Gun Bunny, how are you doing, Gun Bunny? Project Storytime. Good morning to the Bash Brother of the East, and he says, I will be lurking today. Good morning. Mark, the infinitely tired Bash Brother of the South, is here, and of course, the Wrench of Wrenches, the Bash Brother of the North, Chris Persia. Good morning, Chris. Dave Bob, didn't we roast this last Friday? Oh, but Dave Bob, we've got something big this morning. New information is rolled in, and it is unbelievable. It is absolutely, positively unbelievable that they would do this. The fucking hubris of the showrunners to do this when they don't have the rights to the Silmarillion or the Unfinished Tales. They do not have the rights to talk about anything that happened in the Second Age, so they've said, screw it, we'll just make up our own nonsense and write the story Tolkien never could. I shit you not. I shit you not. We're going to get to it. Arwen Avalon, good morning. Arwen, how are you doing? Twinkies for everybody. Arwen Avalon is here, ladies and gentlemen. Mexican Iron Man. Good morning, Mexican Iron Man, who's been a member of Loki's Frost Giants for 18 months. He says, look at me, 18 months. Woot, woot. Lurking and driving this AM. Drive safe, my friend. Drive safe. Arwen Avalon, how stupid do they have to be? Oh, they've lost their shit. The Ginger Ninja, good morning, Ginger Ninja. How are you doing? Good morning, everybody. I hope you guys are all doing well. Star Wars Theology, good morning. Dean Krantz, good morning. If there's anybody, Keely Chow, Roll Tide, Keely, Roll Tide, how are you doing? The struggle between my light and dark side nuts. Good morning. Dave Bob says, right there with you, brother, and who's been a member of Loki's Frost Giants for 18 months. Thank you so very much, Dave Bob, for that member chat. Okay, here we go. Lord of the Rings, Power of the Ring showrunners admit they don't have the rights to the Silmarillion or Unfinished Tales. This was written by John F. Trent over at Bounding Into Comics. Yesterday, Lord of the Rings of Power showrunners J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay admit their show does not have a number of rights that depict events from the Second Age of the Lord of the Rings world. In the MB Geek, let's talk with a 15-month super chat. That CGI looks about like the 90s dwarves with no beards. They are going into areas Tolkien ignored. You mean the guy who created the world? A joke. How can he forget the world he created? Absolutely. Absolutely MB Geek, and we're getting into that. Speaking with Vanity Fair, Payne revealed they only have the rights to the Fellowship of the Ring, the Two Towers, the Return of the King, the Appendices, and the Hobbit. Warner Brothers shopped this to Amazon. Warner Brothers had a lawsuit with the Tolkien estate. When that lawsuit was settled, they shopped Amazon a Lord of the Rings series for $250 million. That is how much Amazon had to pay just to start working on this. That's not what they paid to make it. That's not what they paid to hire. This is what they paid just to have the opportunity to work on it. No deal like that has ever been made in the history of television or film. No one pays $250 just to start working on a television series. It doesn't happen. Project Storytime says, Loki, did you see the new lore master doesn't know the lore? She claimed Tolkien wrote that Gollum was black, even though he was clearly describing his soul, not his skin. These people don't know their assholes from their elbows. They have a complete misunderstanding of the concept. We saw what Gollum looked like. We saw what Gollum looked like in Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. We saw what his skin color was before he was transformed into Gollum. Plain and simple. Dean Krantz, I will not repeat what they said, but to pretend they have the talent of a hair that fell off JR's balls and write what he couldn't? Yes. He stated, we have the rights solely to the Fellowship of the Ring, the Two Towers, the Return of the King, and the Appendices in the Hobbit. And that is it. We do not have the rights to the Silmarillion, Unfinished Tales, the History of Middle-earth, or any of those other books. This is the showrunner. This is the showrunner. This is Payne. J.D. Payne admitting they do not have the rights to the Silmarillion, the Unfinished Tales, the History of Middle-earth, or any other books besides the Fellowship of the Ring, the Two Towers, the Return of the King, the Appendices, and the Hobbit. They do not. Okay, so let me explain this to you. Then this is what hit me last night. Okay, imagine you want to pen a story about Superman, right? You want to make a story about Superman, but you can't talk about Superman on Earth. You can't talk about when he was a kid. You can't talk about his parents. But you want to write a story about Superman. Oh yeah, the CW did that. It was called Krypton. And look where it landed. Look what happened to it. You cannot write a story about the Second Age and not have the rights to talk about things that were written about the Second Age. If they have no rights to anything prior to The Hobbit, why on earth create something you have no rights to? Great, I guess the Tolkien estate can sue Amazon for everything, and I hope they win. They won't, because they're using. I'll explain. They're gonna write in between the lines. They're gonna write this in between the lines. So they're gonna use comments made in the Lord of the Rings books, in the Hobbit, to write the Second Age. One wonders why in the world someone would endeavor to bring to live action the Second Age when you don't have the rights to the Second Age. McKay has an answer. There's a version of everything we need for the Second Age in the books we have the rights to. A version. A version. As long as we're painting within those lines and not egregiously contradicting something we don't have the rights to, there's a lot of leeway and room to dramatize and tell some of the best stories that Tolkien ever came up with, the ones he didn't come up with. You see, he didn't come up with any of this. Tolkien didn't write the shit that y'all are writing. That's you. You guys are going to be the ones that submarine this whole fucking thing. Despite the show not arriving on Prime until September, the show's first trailer and the initial images first published by Vanity Fair reveal they have already egregiously contradicted the books. They turned Galadriel into a commander of the Northern armies. A Northern army was created by King Ondahur and led by him when he defended Gondor from an invasion by the Wain Riders and Rovanian. Ondahur's creation of this Northern army and its use in defending against the Wain Riders were detailed in unfinished tales. Galadriel was not a commander, although she did look upon the dwarves with the eye of a commander, seeing in them the finest warriors to pit against the orcs. As Tolkien noted in Unfinished Tales, again, there is a difference between being a commander and looking upon someone with the eye of a commander. Galadriel was far more far-sighted in this than Celeborn, and she perceived from the beginning that Middle-earth could not be saved from the residue of evil that Morgoth had left behind, saved by a union of all the peoples who were in their way and in their measure opposed to him. She isn't leading forces into battle, as the trailer depicts her. One would think if she previously did, she would have done so in Lord of the Rings as well. Instead, she plays a very different role as a guide and ally, as the Queen of the Elven Realm of Lorien. Show also introduces us to a dwarf princess named Dissa. In Appendix A, Tolkien wrote, Dissa was the daughter of Thrain II. Oh wow, Thrain's a white dude. She's the only dwarf woman named in these histories. It was said by Gimli that there are a few dwarf women, probably no more than a third of the whole people. And thank you so much, Psychodorp9, for that $5 super chat. He says Tolkien was a combat vet, professor, and long life of experience. They want to improve on decades of work. I absolutely, positively agree with you, brother. That is what they want. And do you know what I want? I want to burn the whole fucking thing down. Skull! Oh, sorry about that. And yes, where is it? Showback, TJC. Absolutely. I am. I'm just full of misogyny. Thank you so much, Psychodorp 9. You guys keep the fires burning bright here in Valhalla. Skull, brother. They seldom walk abroad, except at great need. They are in voice and appearance, and in garb if they must go on a journey, so like dwarf men, that the eyes and ears of other peoples cannot tell them apart. This has given rise to the foolish opinion among men that there are no dwarf women, and that the dwarves grow out of stone. This is what Gimli was talking about in Two Towers. This does not look like any other dwarves the show featured. Another clear, egregious contradiction. Nevertheless, Payne and McKay once again showed their hubris and pride that they could do Tolkien's story better than fucking Tolkien! McKay previously revealed his hubris when he told Vanity Fair, "Can we come up with the novel Tolkien never wrote and do it as the mega event series that can only happen now?" He added, "We took all these little clues and thought of them as stars in the sky that we can then connect to write the novel that Tolkien never wrote. We're gonna write the novel that Tolkien never wrote." The sheer fucking hubris of it. Tolkien never wrote this, but by God, we're gonna pen it in anyway, and we're gonna write it. More Tolkien, less Tolkien. Hashtag brightest day. More Tolkien, less Tolkien. Thank you so very much for that $1.99 super chat, brother. You guys keep the fires burning bright. And this one is just for you, brother. Skull! We're going to write the novel that Tolkien never wrote. And then dare to call it Tolkien. And then dare to say this was the real Tolkien version. Peckerheadery. I love that. I love that. We're using that. Peckerheadery. This is where we're at, ladies and gentlemen. This is where we are at. We worked in conjunction with world-renowned Tolkien scholars and the Tolkien estate to make sure that the ways we connected the dots were Tolkien and gelled with the experts in the estate's understanding of the material. However, they fired the Tolkien scholar Tom Shippey. Vanity Fair suggested it was over an NDA breach, claiming he gave an apparently unsanctioned interview to a German fan site, opening on what the show could and could not explore. Not long after that, Shippey was no longer involved with the series. Canning a prominent Tolkien scholar and then touting you worked with him to justify your egregious contradictions from Tolkien's lore. That is unforgivable. That is what these people have done. And they're not the only ones. Dividing people. Calling them ists, obes, Yahtzees. We've all seen that from the Tolkien Society over the past month. How is it that these people decide what is acceptable and what is not when they know, ladies and gentlemen, that this was rigged from the start. They do not have the rights to talk about what happens in the Second Age. And agreed. Keely Chow, Roll Tide, brother. Gary Biegler for Gandalf. Yes. Absolutely. How do you write about something that you do not have the rights to write about? Oh, well, you work around it by saying by pulling something that Gimli says about dwarf women. That's your star that you're gonna follow, is what Gimli said about dwarf women. So that lets us make this dwarven queen. Thrain the second, who was white as white could be. That's what you're gonna do. MB Geek, let's talk with the $5 super chat. We are doing Shakespeare's writing and making it for a modern audience and exploring areas he ignored in his writing. How well would that go over? Not just ignored, but didn't make. Not just ignored. Tolkien didn't make this. This isn't Tolkien's work. This is not Lord of the Rings. It's that simple. We now know that they don't have the rights to talk about the Second Age and what Tolkien wrote. They're literally trying to write around what he wrote. This is going to fail. Plain and simple. And thank you so much, MB Geek. Let's talk for that $5 super chat. You guys keep the fires burning bright here in Valhalla. Skål!
Spartans! What is your profession?
Now, the Dwarven Queen needs to get some Head and Shoulders gold, is what the Dwarven Queen needs. If anybody, and I can't imagine you haven't, but if you have not seen this yet, we are going to. We've been looking at this over and over and over again, and I'm sure there's someone out there going, "Oh my God, do you know the damage you're doing to people with dandruff?" Well, it's not gold dandruff, so deal with it. Look at that. Look at that. She's got gold dandruff, and yeah, gold head lice. Gold head lice and gold dandruff. Get some gold Head and Shoulders and take care of it. Get some gold Head and Shoulders and take care of it. Seriously. This is not cool. This is not engaging. You spent $1 billion fucking dollars on this? Really? Only Dwarven queens have gold flaky scalp. And let's go down to the fingers. Let's go down to the fingers. Where has she been putting her fingers? What's she been doing with her fingers? This is embarrassing. This is fucking embarrassing. Do you know why this has been allowed to happen? This would have never, ever happened while Christopher Tolkien was still alive. This would have never been allowed to happen. Unfortunately, we lost him in 2020. And this is what happens. This is what happens. The Tolkien estate, the people that are supposed to protect the work, where are they? The people who are supposed to protect Tolkien's work, where are they? Where are they? The people that are supposed to protect this. This man worked for decades creating the characters, the story, the language. And you think, you two fucktards think you're going to write the book he didn't? You're just going to jump on this train and you're going to write the book he didn't. There are people out there that believe that some of the things in the Silmarillion and Unfinished Tales are not canon because his son worked on them. Can you imagine that? What do you think's going to happen now? What do you think the end of this golden scalp bullshit is going to be? I'm gonna pull up another one. Ocean, the elf. And I've heard some crazy shit already. That the orcs, and this is told by Sauron, that the orcs were elves once, and they were twisted by the dark powers and turned into orcs. Twisted elves. This isn't just some fantasy series. Tolkien poured everything he had into these stories. And now they're going to be ignored so that Amazon can make a television series. Don Lemon, the father of all orcs. Cool ocean, as gentle as an ocean breeze. Remember when they said orcs were black? That's right, Soul Assassin. They're making their own shit come true. We're gonna make it canon. They think they're gonna make it canon. Mexican Iron Man with a $9.99 super chat says, Loki, you're being a silly face. Don't you know Hollywood knows better for us? Don't you understand that Tolkien could do more better for us all in the modern audience? F these weirdos. Thank you so very much, Mexican Iron Man. And I couldn't agree more. Hollywood does know better for each and every one of you. They know enough to tell you what to wear. Masks. They know to tell you what to think. Backs. They know to tell you what to eat. Grass. Bugs. Not meat. They know to tell you what to watch and consume everything they make. They know better for each and every one of you. Thank you so very much, Mexican Iron Man, for that $9.99 super chat. You guys keep the fires burning bright in Valhalla, and we're going to throw you out some jewels this morning. Skol!
And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to poison and destroy my brother.
And how does this work? How does this work? Let me ask you this. Well, I pull up another picture. How does this work? Game of Thrones sprang from Lord of the Rings. Right? Game of Thrones sprang from Lord of the Rings. Now Amazon wants to turn Lord of the Rings into Game of Thrones. How in the hell does that work? And why would you want to do something like that? Ocean gonna get lucky with a human. We are forbidden from being with each other. Oh, it's because he's black? No, it's because he's an elf. We cannot be with each other, a human and an elf. You see what they're doing here? Oh, but cool Ocean, I need you to enter my cave and produce the wetness it needs. Oh, my lady, I cannot. I am an elf. And as you know, humans and elves cannot be together. But one day, a white elf girl and a white Dunedainian boy will come together and be able to be together because they're both white. We all know what's going to happen. And they're writing all of this and making all of this up when they don't even have the rights to the books that are needed to tell the fucking story of the Second Age. We, as fans of this garbage, have to stand up and say, no, you will not desecrate Tolkien's work by doing this. We are the ones that have to stand up and say, we're not going to take this shit. This is going to be the biggest failure for the biggest amount of money. A $1 billion boondoggle. Oh, Ocean, I feel your tide rising. Thank you, Daryl. Thank you so very much. Yeah. Arwen, Yes. Da na 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 na. We are Amazon. We are Amazon. Da na 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 na. The sheer fucking hubris of it all. I identify as a tree, my lady, an oak. Would you like me to splash my water on your oak ocean? And Geek, let's talk with the $10 Super Chat. They think they're the only ones who know canon. They can't even use canon in Geek. They can't even use canon. Not fans. These elitists say great stuff, but it needs more of this and this. What about the fans? Who cares they're not who we want? We want a diverse show. And they can't even use the canon because they don't have the rights to the books where the second age is laid out. Again, how are you going to write a story about an age that's already been written about, yet you can't use the content that's been written? And then you have the fucking hubris to say, we're going to write the story Tolkien never did. We're going to write the story everyone always wanted that he could never write. They can't use canon, but claim it's Tolkien's real canon. I just can't with these people, y'all. And that's exactly what they're telling you. This is the story Tolkien could never write. This is the story you all wanted, but we can't use anything in the Silmarillion or Unfinished Tales because we do not have the rights. We do not have the rights to the books that talk about the Second Age. And that is because Warner Brothers does not have the rights to those books. And Warner Brothers is the one who had to shop the series to Amazon. So take that in, ladies and gentlemen. Amazon does not have the rights to talk about the second stuff that happened in the Second Age, but they're making a story about the Second Age and claiming it's the story Tolkien never wrote. Meanwhile, they can't use any information in those books. Just Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. This is the story Tolkien didn't write. That's what we're saying. Yeah. This is the story Tolkien didn't write. Meanwhile, we can't use any of the information he did write about the Second Age. And we can't contradict that information, which they've already done. They've already done that. Amazon has spent $1 billion on one season. $1 billion on the first season of this. If this is the story we all wanted, then why not create a universe with subtle changes and provide a new story that will supplant Lord of the Rings? Oh, wait. They don't have the story or the talent. Here's Tolkien's vision, but with no Tolkien, y'all. That's right. And good morning, Snowdub Live and Entertainment. Guys, if you weren't subscribed to Snowdub Live and Entertainment, go and check him out. Go and check him out now. Go over to his website. Go over to his YouTube channel. Check him out. If you're not subscribed, watch his content. If you like it, ring that bell. Subscribe to his channel. Absolutely wonderful with the puppets over there. Dave Baba would not want to be associated to any part of this shit show. Neither would I. Neither would I. If they were like, Loki, we want to bring you on as a Tolkien historian, as soon as I got the gist of what they were doing, I'd say no. Because you're not, there's no Tolkien history here. There is no Tolkien history. Do you not understand that by design, there is no Tolkien history here because you cannot talk about that history. All you can talk about is what is in Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. Yet you're doing a show about a Second Age and you can't talk about what Tolkien wrote about the Second Age. So you've got to make up your own shit. You don't need a Tolkien historian for that. You need to have your head checked. I can't believe that this is what we're going to get, is this shit right here. Oh, ocean, I want to enter your calm waters, my lady. It is forbidden. The lake of calm ocean is forbidden to all mortals. But ocean, you look so stiff. I've been feeling fine, baby. Da-na-na. Oh, let's get it on. Ow! This is where we're at. Yes, MB Geek, let's talk. Yes, they spent $1 billion and they're covering an era they did not buy the rights to. Oh yeah, great idea. So you spend all this money to make shit up. Yes, they have spent all this money to make shit up. So they're illegally adapting the Second Age and could have just made a D&D movie. Yes. Absolutely right. All they can use, and this is how they shopped it. There are little bits and pieces, little tiny bits thrown out in The Lord of the Rings, in The Hobbit. Little tiny bits of information that they can twist and turn to their own agenda. Just like the orcs used to be elves and were twisted. Amazon is twisting the information in Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit to suit their own ends, even though there are books that have information about the Second Age in them. They cannot reproduce the information that is in those books. Only information taken from Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. And they can twist that and do whatever they want to with it. There are supposed to be safeguards in place in the Tolkien estate to prevent exactly what Amazon is doing. To prevent it. To safeguard Tolkien's work. And these motherfuckers have the sheer fucking hubris of saying, we're going to write the book he never wrote. Yes, Shum, it's $1 billion fanfic. It's $1 billion fan fiction. That is where we are at now. I cannot believe that this is where we're at. But apparently, someone foresaw this happening because Tolkien himself, the creator of The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, burned a film treatment for an adaptation of Lord of the Rings back in June of 1958. Tolkien did not hold back his criticism of the film treatment, and it gave us an idea of what he might have thought about Amazon Studios' upcoming adaptation of Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. Towards the beginning of the letter, Tolkien preemptively apologizes for his tone used in his commentary on the film treatment. He wrote, "If Mr. Zimmerman and or others do so, they may be irritated or aggrieved by the tone of many of my criticisms. If so, I'm sorry." Tolkien went on to explain, "But I would ask them to make an effort of imagination sufficient to understand the irritation and on occasion the resentment of an author who finds increasingly as he proceeds his work treated as it would seem carelessly in general, in places recklessly, and with no evident signs of any appreciation of what it is all about." Boom. The canons of narrative in any medium cannot be wholly different, and the failure of poor films is often precisely an exaggeration and in the intrusion of unwarranted matter owing to not perceiving where the core of the original lies. The people do not understand the core of what made something great. He has cut the parts of the story upon which its characteristic and peculiar tone principally depends, showing a preference for fights. He has made no serious attempt to represent the heart of the tale adequately, the journey of the ring bearers. The last and most important pan of this has, and it is not too strong a word, simply been murdered. One of Tolkien's criticism of the treatment was also the contraction of time, something Amazon Studios is doing in their show. Showrunner J.D. Payne explained the decision to contract the timeline in the Rings of Power. If you are true to the exact letter of the law, you are going to be telling a story in which your human characters are dying off every season because you're jumping 200 years in time. And then you're not meeting really big important canon characters until season 4. Look, there might be some fans who want us to do a documentary of Middle-earth, but we're going to tell the story that unites all these things. Tolkien criticized the contraction of time in the treatment of his writing. Here I might say that I fail to see why the time scheme should be deliberately contracted. It is already rather packed in the original, the main action occurring between September 22nd and March 25th of the following year. The many impossibilities and absurdities which further hurrying produces might, I suppose, be unobserved by an uncritical viewer, but I do not see why they should be unnecessarily introduced. Time must naturally be left vaguer in a picture than in a book, but cannot see why definite time statements, contrary to the book and to probability, should be made. While discussing the use of lambus in the script, Tolkien expresses that he would resent perversions of his character. I do earnestly hope that in the assignment of actual speeches to the characters, they will be represented as I have presented them, in style and in sentiment. I should resent perversion of the characters, and do resent it, so far as it appears in this sketch, even more than the spoiling of the plot and the scenery. The Rings of Power has made it clear they do intend to pervert Tolkien's characters. In a puff piece to promote the show for Vanity Fair, Prime Video revealed they are radically altering Galadriel's role as well as her personality. She is described as the commander of the Northern armies, as well as being angry and brash as she is clever. That is not who Galadriel is. Mexican Iron Man with a $4.99 super chat. Let me get you highlighted, brother. He says, Loki, what about Latino diversity, inclusion, and representation? Hashtag Mexican construction troll lives. They will not be doing any of the construction in Middle-earth. It's mostly the dwarves doing all the construction. Sorry, you lost out to the dwarves. Thank you so much for that $4.99 super chat. You guys keep the fires burning bright here on Valhalla, and let's burn this motherfucker down this morning. Skol! Tolkien himself would look at this and say no. That alone is enough to look at it and say no. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here today. Thank you so much for hanging on with me this morning as I roast the new Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power on Amazon, because they're going to do what Tolkien couldn't. They're going to write a story about the Second Age. Oh, wait, he did. And you can't say anything about it because you don't have access to any of it. That would be a breach of contract. Right. Everybody take care. Be excellent to each other. Always speak friend to enter. And we will see you guys later tonight when me and Adega do 7 kinds of mischief. Take care, everybody.
These videos are tremendous. Like, comment, and subscribe and hammer that notification bell.